What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. So I don't really know what I'm going to title this. I don't exactly know the technical terms for what I'm about to describe to you. I'm going to title it something along the lines of locked up with someone who was perma-tweaked or someone that got a hot shot or something like that. I don't want to be disrespectful to people that go through this, but at the same time I want to explain to you what it was. So anyway, that's what today's video is going to be. Before we get started, I just want to show y'all that my Ride or Die merch came in. I love, this is literally one of my favorite shirts. It is the Stay Safe, Stay Sober shirt. And of course, it says Ride or Die on the back. I just wanted to show y'all that. It is literally one of my favorite designs on my merch store. And link down below if you want to get one. If you don't, totally fine, not a big deal, but I love it. So without further ado, let's get into today's prison story time. So this story time takes place in Arkansas. I was in a maximum security prison. If you do not know why I went to prison, I will link that down below. It was for possession with intent, delivery, and a gun. So I was in a maximum security prison in southern Arkansas. And in Arkansas, meth is very prevalent. A lot of people use, abuse, and sell meth. There are also a lot of involvement with cartels, bringing it across the border and bringing it in, and it's just very rampant in my personal experience. If you are from Arkansas and you've never seen meth, that's amazing. It was just, in my experience, everywhere because, I mean, that was the circle that I was in, right? So maybe my perception is skewed because I was around these people. But long story short, I am in prison. And it is about, I want to say 7 or 8 p.m. I was on a top bunk on a back wall. So this was an open dorm. So an open dorm looks kind of like a gym. So there's tons of beds. And then on the wall around the perimeter of the open dorm, there'll be bunk beds, and then kind of in the middle there are individual racks. Now I have been in open dorms where it looks completely different, but that's a story for another time. This dorm only had bunk beds along the wall though, the back wall, and that's where I was. So I was on a top bunk on a back wall, and a bunch of new people came in. But as soon as new people come into any facility, whether it's a county jail or a prison, everyone takes notice, everyone's eyeing you up, everyone's seeing what you have, what you look like, we are speculating why you're there, you know, because we're bored. So these, I think it was 3 women came into this dorm that I was in, and a couple others went into different dorms in that housing unit. One girl in particular really stood out to me because she was, first of all, very small. She was very small. She had this jet black hair that was kind of wildin', kind of all over the place, which is not uncommon after you go through the intake process, which is brutal and terrible and awful. And I will link my prison intake video on the card up here if you guys have not seen that. But it's not uncommon to look a hot mess after you go through that process. But she just looked very different. She was also, how do I explain this? Her eyes were also very kind of you know what I mean? She was looking all around. She was moving as if she was a meth addict. And when I say that, I mean sometimes when you use methamphetamine, we all respond differently to drugs. I have met plenty of people that have gotten sober but still have little twitches. Chemicals react differently in everyone's body. So my speech, I don't know if y'all have ever noticed, my speech slurs occasionally, and that is something that I still battle with, being on meth and overamping myself for so long. Overamp means I would shoot so much that I would actually pass out and then wake back up about a minute or 2 later. So my speech does slur occasionally. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that or if I'm just super hyper aware of it because it's my speech, but you have little tics or twitches sometimes after using meth, especially for a long period of time. So I could just tell that she had been using meth. A fisherman can always spot another fisherman. So I did know that she was a user. I could just tell by her body language, by how she was moving. But I didn't really think much of it at the time. I just thought, you know what I mean? It was a very common thing to meet people that were using methamphetamine in the street in Arkansas. Super, super common. So I didn't think much of it. I think I was just writing in my prison journal, which I really need to make videos on, and I went to sleep. The next day, I had noticed that this girl was sitting Indian style on her bed, and she was doing this very strange body movement that really just got my attention and got everyone's attention. But she was like going like this above her head. Like, it looked very odd, and I'm just like, what is happening? And I thought, I really hope she's okay. And she kept doing that. She kept swatting above her head randomly. Like, she would just be sitting there like very, very still, and then out of nowhere, she would just be like, ah, and just start swatting at nothing. And I thought, oh my gosh, what the heck? So a lot of the women would kind of whisper, I think that she got a hot shot. And I'm like, can you just explain that to me? Because I'd only used meth for about 6 months, maybe 7, maybe a little longer. Not that long though. So what other people started to notice was that she was kind of permanently like this, and they would call it perma-tweaked. She's perma-tweaked out. And that's just a saying that other people had said to me, and I was like, damn, how though? Like, how does someone still see, still hallucinate or still see these things or still feel that way after what I would have to assume was months of sobriety? Because when you're in county jail, you get sentenced, then you go to prison, there's a long duration of you can't have access readily. There are drugs in prison, but you don't have a unlimited supply. So obviously this girl is sober. I know there's no meth in this barracks. So how? Anyway, this kind of continued to go on for several weeks, and I just feel, I'm sorry if this is all over the place, but I feel like it was so irresponsible for the prison to allow her to come into a general population unit in a maximum security prison if she's not really all there, or if she is struggling in some way. I mean, she was able to go to classes or go to the library. Like, she was aware of her surroundings. She was aware that she was in prison. She could kind of have a normal conversation, but when they called chow, she went to chow. When they called med call, she went to med call. Like, she would do the things that you have to do in prison. So I guess that's why they allowed her in the general population unit. But this is why I think it's irresponsible to put someone that is struggling the way that she was in a general population unit. Other women took advantage of her. I overheard a conversation that the girl that was struggling had with someone 2 bunks down from her. And the person that was 2 bunks down from her actually had an issue with me, because when I first came in this unit, she tried to get a soup off of me and I told her no, and I stood up for myself. So I'm kind of listening to see what this girl is saying to this new girl. And basically she's just kind of picking away at her, asking her questions, asking her if she has family, asking her if she's alone. Basically what that girl was doing to the new girl was trying to see if she had money, trying to see if there was any money coming in. And I knew that kind of line of questioning, but I just kind of laid back and I let this conversation go on. As the conversation progressed, the girl that was perma-tweaked out had said something about her toothbrush causing her teeth to fall out. And I just thought, oh my God, this girl thinks her toothbrush is making her teeth fall out. Like, that's so sad. So already I'm just like, I really want to help this girl. But you guys, you have to be very careful who you stand up for in prison. You can't just stand up for someone that everyone wants to rob, because you're gonna have problems, you're gonna get beat up, you're gonna get robbed. Like, you can't just do that. So I was just paying attention to the situation. I overheard that girl say that the toothbrush is causing problems with her and tooth decay and all this stuff. And I was really, really sad for her, because I can't even imagine what she goes through on a daily basis. Well, the girl that was 2 bunks down from her that was asking her questions was able to distract her, and the girl had left a bag of chips and 2 soups on her bed and kind of walked off for a second, and it just looked like she looked like she had mom brain, honestly. Like, I do this all the time, but she set something down and she like kind of went to walk away, and she was moving all weird and she was kind of scatterbrained, and then she turned around, went to walk back to her bed, and it's gone. Now, we had all seen that the girl had taken that from her. So the chips and the soup are not there anymore, and she's like she's looking under her mattress. Like, I don't know why she would look under a 2-inch mattress for the soup and the chips, but she's just looking for them. And she lifts open her locker and she's looking in her locker, and then she goes over to the bathroom and she's looking in the bathroom. Other people are starting to laugh at this, and I'm just like, you have to pick and choose your battles. In this moment, I didn't say anything and I let it go, because if I had inserted myself in this, that other girl is going to be heated and she's gonna throw hands over that. She's gonna throw hands over that. So the night kind of just progresses as usual and we go to sleep. Now this was a very common thing that was happening in this dorm with this person that was perma-tweaked out. People were stealing from her. She would forget to lock her locker and people would go in there and take things from her. It was just a really frustrating thing for me to watch because I wanted to fight back. I wanted immediately, as soon as I saw someone doing that to her, I wanted to step up and say something. But I had to wait for the right moment, and I couldn't just approach them and be like, stop robbing her, everyone in the dorm. I can't fight with 50 women on one, right? So I was getting more and more agitated that they were stealing from her. And a few other of the people that were in my circle that I associated with were also getting very irritated that this girl was stealing from this girl. I mean, she wasn't mentally all there, you know what I mean? And it was just so frustrating for me to watch because she had no one, she was alone, she wouldn't even associate with people, and every time she was turning around, she was getting things stolen from her. So I was just so irritated. So one day, a friend or associate of mine and I were sitting and watching TV, and we were sharing a radio, probably because I was poor or mine broke or something, I don't even know, but we were sharing a radio. That's how you had to watch TV in prison in the South, is you had to have a radio and then you tune into the TV station. So we were sharing headphones, so I could still hear what was going on out of my left ear. I heard a situation going on in the bathroom. So where I was sitting, I was right here, the tables were over here, the bed area was behind us, and the bathroom was to my left. So I heard a little confrontation going on in the bathroom to my left. And I immediately took out my headphones and I'm just like, what's going on, right? Like, I was very hyper aware of my surroundings at all times. I still am. I probably have PTSD. So I'm overhearing this little argument go on, and basically it's someone that has just had enough. She has had enough of that girl stealing from the girl that was perma-tweaked out. And I immediately put the radio down and I walked to the bathroom and I was like, listen, this is what's gonna happen. You are not going to steal from her ever again. And I immediately backed up this one girl, and it was kind of interesting to see how this went down because the girl that confronted the girl that was stealing was like, you would look at her and think that she's just a soccer mom. You know, she was not confrontational at all. She was there on, she worked for a plastic surgeon, and she was there because they were prescribing pain medication for people. So she just came from the feds. Now she was doing her state time, and she never got into confrontations with people. So to see her stand up for this girl, I'm just like, I have to help her out. I got to help this girl out. So as soon as I inserted myself in this, I'm like, yeah, you're not stealing from her anymore. We're gonna have problems. We're gonna have problems if you do that. So I wish I could say names. It's so hard not to say names, you guys. So my homegirl that was watching TV with me, who was a stud broad, who had literally just gotten out of SEG for body slamming someone in the day room over a pizza sauce, she comes up to back me up. So now it's about 4 or 5 people confronting this girl, and I'm like, you're not taking anything from her anymore. And I felt so relieved to finally be confronting her because it was driving me nuts for weeks. It was driving me crazy. I wanted to say something, but I also didn't want to get into a fight with this woman. So basically, we had squashed it. We let her know that if we see you stealing from this girl ever again, we are going to have a problem. And she was confrontational with that at first, but no fight broke out. Everything was fine. So things kind of went on as normal for the next, I want to say 2 weeks. No one was stealing from her. This woman that originally started stealing from her and a couple of her friends laid back. No one had a problem. So I thought the situation was over until one day, for some reason, I was in the dorm when I was supposed to be in a class, or maybe I had a sick call or something, but I had came back in the dorm for something, and when I was supposed to be at my job in laundry, but I came back in for whatever reason it was, and I saw this person going through that woman's trunk. Now, I was so heated, you guys. I was so freaking heated because we warned you to stop stealing from her. You know, there were even moments where I would walk up to that girl's bed and I would lock it because she kept forgetting to lock her trunk. So I would just walk up to it and click it. And then the girl that was 2 months down would get so pissed. Like, she'd be like, ugh, and she'd roll her eyes because I'm like, oh, got it this time. Try again, you know? And it was just this constant thing. So I saw her going through the trunk, and as soon as I walked up to her, she slammed it, and she's like, listen, New York, I don't want to have a problem. And I'm like, I can either fight you or I can just walk away. You guys, I was literally 3 months to my day. I was 3 months to my day. And I'm just like, you're lucky I'm the one that saw you. You're lucky I'm the one that saw you. And I went back to my bed and there was never a problem after that. But I remember in that moment, I wanted so bad to fight her because I felt so bad for the girl that was perma-tweaked out, and everyone did. I mean, she was really struggling just to get by. She was really freaking struggling. But again, you really have to be careful on picking and choosing your battles. I could have gotten in a one-on-one fight with this woman protecting that girl. I could have done that. But I also could have lost my day. So I can't get into a fight with you in the day room. If we have to have a fight, if it's gonna go down, we have to go to the bathroom. We have to get out of view of the cameras so that we both don't go to seg. And I was just like, you're lucky I'm the one that saw you. And I just walked back to my bed and that was that. The girl that was perma-tweaked out eventually got moved into a different housing unit. I don't know if maybe she did a program, I'm not exactly sure, but she did get moved out of our dorm. And I still to this day think about her sometimes and wonder if she's okay. I can't even imagine having to go through life thinking there's birds, that's what she ended up saying, birds flying above your head, or thinking a toothbrush is making your teeth fall out. I mean, I just felt so freaking bad for her. So hopefully she is doing okay and she's out of prison and she's living her best life. It just goes to show you the permanent damage that drugs can cause. And I am so lucky and so blessed to be sitting here alive. No one gave me a hot shot. I am sober, I am healthy, I am happy. So many people don't make it out that way though. So many people lose their lives or end up, you know, perma-tweaked out, or they have some very serious medical conditions. So if you are still in that life and you want to get help, my information is in the description box down below. There are so many resources. If you don't have insurance but you want to go to rehab, there are so many programs that will help you even if you do not have insurance. There are so many outlets out there to help you guys. So I'm going to end today's video here. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober, do not break the law, and I'll see you guys in my next one.